This is from Heart Heart Podcast number 25 with me, May Mustafa. Today I want to talk about emotions and how can you change your emotion instantly. This can be a challenge because it is, but that's exactly why it's thrilling. I was taking a look at my diary and I came across a very challenging situation happened to me that I'm gonna share with you today, and that's the reason that I got inspired to make this episode. Remember, everything needs practicing, and for most, to make a good reaction, you need to have a previous information about that situation. The challenge I'm gonna share with you, I could have never succeeded in getting through it unless I had an idea before about how to change how I feel thanks to Tony Robbins. And I did practice a very initial techniques about changing how I feel before I faced that challenge. And for most, to give my very first trial, giving a free public speaking speech, I did practice for almost 5 days before my speech. Now, let's get started, but first, I want to tell you how much I appreciate you being here. That means the world to me. Tony Robbins said, emotions are created by emotions. Means, if you want to change how you feel in a moment, change how you move your body. For example, try to remember how you move your body when you feel sad. You might remember that you look at the ground, sit with crossed arms, and curved back. Your voice is so weak and low, and for most, you sit alone with nobody, right? Now, what about trying to remember how you act when you feel happy? You may remember that you put a smile on your face, you sit in a specific way, your back is straight, your voice is excited, and you're jumping. Also, you may say yes in eagerness, right? So, Tony said, if you want to change unwanted emotion to a wanted one, for example, being sad to be happy, we can act in the same way we act when we feel happy. In another way, while you feel the bad emotion, in our case sadness, you can change that to another emotion you want. For example, happiness. Just by act in the same way you act when you are happy. Actually, it sounds easily said than done, but it works effectively. Now, if the idea is not clear to you yet, let me share with you a personal example happened to me like a year and a half ago. I applied for an English course to try it out, and one of the sessions, our teacher said that we need to be prepared for a public speaking speech for the next session. That did sound awesome to me. I picked a topic in my choice, which was meditation, because I used to do that. I was doing that in that time. I prepared for the speech and I rewatched a couple of videos about my topic and I applied a couple of new techniques along with my old techniques in my own meditation so that I can say exactly what I'm doing, right? And I practiced for my first free speech in English for a couple of times. And I thought that would do, and my public speaking speech will be awesome. The day of the session came, and my teacher, Lindsay, pointed to me to come out and give my speech. That was nice. I was so excited to give that speech because I was so prepared and the topic was familiar to me, and the class was about 12 people, not so much. Then the time came to speak in front of the class and my teacher about meditation. Then I stood in front of 13 people to give my first speech ever in English. First, I forgot everything I wanted to talk about. My heart started to beat like crazy. My breath started to become shallowly. My palms started to sweat, and I was looking at the floor in nervousness. I even stood so damn close to the board that I couldn't even move. My teacher told me, hey, you can come and sit until you calm down and try again. I wanted to say no, but my voice couldn't come out. I was so nervous and I wanted to give the speech so much, and it sounded like I don't want to try another time. So he told me, okay, take your time. I bet it was a nice movie for the class. So no one felt bored but curious about how would I give that speech. Meanwhile, I was thinking, how can I give the speech? And then I remembered Tani's advice, which is if I changed my emotions, I will change how I feel. And I was super excited to give that speech, but my state didn't allow that in that time. But I wanted to change it because I know that I can change how I feel. So I start with my breath. I took 4 to 5 very deep breaths to calm myself down and to calm my heart. Then I tried to move by walking around while continuing breathing deep breaths. Then I started the speech by the name of the topic, which is meditation. So I said, meditation. I want to talk about meditation. Then I started to remember what I wanted to say in my speech. Of course, not everything, but just, a little things was popping up in my mind, so I was cleansing over them, and I tried to talk about everything that occurred to my mind in that time about the topic. I continued to move around and walk around. I even was moving my hands while speaking little by little. I was remembering a couple of things, so I was talking about those things. I was walking around, I was moving my hands, you know. And little by little, I started to remember the headlines, and so I talked about every headline that I remembered back then. Just by taking deep breaths and moving my body, my anxiety disappeared little by little, and the speech turned out to be good. And I even took some questions about the topic from my classmates. They were so curious about that. They did not hear about meditation or that my points that I talked about were intriguing for them. And I answered them all. Then I finished the speech. My teacher told me that I did great. Honestly, I was so happy that I did give my speech after being in a miserable state. So, as you can see, by breathing correctly and moving your body, miracles can happen. And for me, that was a miracle. I want to tell you, don't let yourself stay in a bad state for long. Either it's fear or anxiety, either it's despair or frustration. Change that by mimicking what you do when you feel good. Because when you feel good or in your normal self, you can come up with solutions and good ideas. So don't let negativity consume you or control how you feel from now on. Because now you have a new piece of knowledge in your arsenal, which is you can control your emotions by changing your emotions. Before this episode ends, I want you to try this technique out and tell me in a comment if that worked for you or not. You can communicate with me on Instagram at mymustafa.fhth. Also, if you didn't subscribe to this podcast, please do to get notified every time I make new episode. You can leave a review on Apple Podcast and share this episode with your friends to help spread the word. Hope you to have a very lovely day.